Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Tracy Alexander, and coming up in today's newscast. Less than 24 hours before Israel's hospitality scene sees coronavirus closures removed, but the death toll is once again climbing as the Prime Minister warns of a deadly second wave. Facebook throws its support behind an Israeli hackathon competition protecting people from domestic violence, and Israeli technology once again on the world stage as augmented reality meets big brands like ASOS and Adidas. The Mossad intelligence agency has secured hundreds of millions of protective gear and thousands of medical devices in a massive push to combat the coronavirus in Israel. According to an internal report, the stash contains things like protective goggles, surgical face masks, elastic gloves and ventilators. Now, Mossad chief Yossi Cohen was forced to use his personal connections with various nations around the world to attain the life-saving equipment, including those that have no diplomatic ties with Israel. It comes as Israel sees its first new coronavirus deaths in 5 days. Netanyahus Manson has the story.
Bars and restaurants are officially set to open across Israel tomorrow. But as you can see from these pictures taken overnight, many aren't waiting for the green light. This comes as the country's coronavirus death toll climbs by 2, bringing the numbers to 281, the first fatalities in 5 days. As restrictions continue to lift, though, leading Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivering a warning to the country to brace itself.
אנחנו חייבים להיערך לאפשרות שיקרה כאן מה שקרה ב-1918, שבא גל שני כעבור שנה שהיה קטלני בהרבה, גבה את חייהם של מיליונים רבים.
Regardless, hotels and swimming pools are set to reopen Wednesday, and public transport will be allowed to increase passenger loads to 75% capacity come early June. The speedy push to restart Israel's economy is being met with mixed feelings. A special survey by the Israel Democracy Institute showing that 39% of Israelis interviewed think that reopening the economy has been rushed, and more than half believe there will be a second wave of COVID-19. Their trust in health officials, though, remains high.
Well, to politics now, old alliances are turning sour in the Knesset as the right-wing Yamina party looks to undermine the new government, taking aim at leading Prime Minister Netanyahu through his landmark corruption trial. Aaron Porras has the details.
He may look happy and civilized here, but hell hath no fury like a politician scorned. Right-wing Yamina party chairman and former defense minister Naftali Bennett is now trying to divide the fledgling unity government by introducing a new bill taking aim at the coalition's weak spot, leading Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's legal woes. The new law, dubbed the French law because of its similarities to legislation in France, would prevent the prosecution of a sitting prime minister except for in serious cases. Yamina is arguing that the law would prevent situations like this, where a sitting Israeli leader has to split their time between court and leading the country. The so-called Israeli-French law wouldn't help Netanyahu with his current trial, though. It would only protect him from future investigations. For example, Case 3000 or the so-called submarine affair, which falls into that category, in that Netanyahu is a person of interest. For months, new defense minister and co-prime minister Benny Gantz has been rallying against the French law, though. And while the new unity government has agreed to not push any bills unrelated to coronavirus for at least 6 months, there's nothing stopping them from voting on such a bill if it's introduced by the opposition. As it stands, the Likud and the blue and white parties under Netanyahu and Gantz respectively are expected to vote in opposite directions.
Now, speaking of old alliances and new enemies, well, Aaron spoke with columnist Mark Schulman and Israeli attorney Simcha Rothman in ILTV's new program Insider about Netanyahu's recent attacks against the chief police investigators. Take a listen.
I want to actually take a look at what Netanyahu had to say because, as you guys already touched upon, he took time out of his speech to harshly go after some of the people going after him, including Roni Alshech and Roni Ritman, the lead investigators and police commissioner against him. We have a soundbite. Let's take a look.
שמעתי אתמול את המפכ"ל לשעבר רוני אלשך. הוא הטיף בצדקנות על טוהר מידות. זהו אותו אלשך שהעביר מיליונים מכספי משלם המיסים, ללא מכרז כמובן, ליועץ התקשורת שלו. זה אותו אלשך שעבר עבירה פלילית כשהדליף בשידור חי מתוך החקירות בענייני. אני עדיין מחכה להתנצלות. בזה הוא מזכיר רוני אחר, רוני ריטמן, שעמד בראש היחידה שחקרה אותי. הוא טען, בעזות מצח בלתי רגילה, את הטענה השקרית שאני הוא זה ששלחתי את קצינת המשטרה שהתלוננה נגדו בגין הטרדה מינית. אלה האנשים שהובילו את החקירות נגדי. אני בטוח שהם עשו את זה בלב פתוח ונפש חפצה.
As Prime Minister, he has certain responsibilities. He cannot go down to lower to the same level as everybody else as a Prime Minister. He can't stand there and be surrounded by all the Likud ministers and attack the justice system, which he effectively stands on top of. He's responsible for the justice system in the country.
You just can't accept this, the fact, I think, a fact, that it's true. What he says is right.
No, he should not be doing that, standing in front at the entrance of the house.
Why not? I sent him to do that.
What?
I sent him, I as a public sent him to do that. Before the allegations, 900,000 people voted Likud. After the allegation, 1,300,000 people voted Likud. The people of Israel do not trust their justice system, do not trust this indictment. If you don't accept it, then you have a problem.
Now, for the full show, check it out on ILTV's Facebook and YouTube pages. All right, moving on now, the controversial topic of annexing Jewish settlements again taking centre stage, this time at the ruling Likud party's weekly meeting.
יש כאן הזדמנות היסטורית שלא הייתה מאז 1948, להכיל ריבונות באופן מושכל, כצעד מדיני וצעד ריבוני של מדינת ישראל ביהודה ושומרון. זאת הזדמנות גדולה ואנחנו לא ניתן לה לחלוף.
Netanyahu steadfast, setting a July date for the vote, saying he has no intention of changing it. But the idea of carrying out this move unilaterally is already dividing the newly founded coalition. Labor Party Member of Parliament and Welfare Minister Itzik Shmuley, for one, is vowing to vote against it. The planned move is in line with United States President Donald Trump's proposed peace initiative, which allows for Israel to extend its sovereignty across up to 30% of Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank. Incendiary and explosive balloons from Gaza are once again being launched towards Israeli communities. At least 3 waves of the dangerous tactic reported over the past 24 hours, with terror groups in the Strip threatening to turn Gaza into hell if Israel fails to send medical supplies for coronavirus into the enclave within 72 hours. It comes just days after Hamas announced the first COVID-related death in the Strip, and this comes after multiple attempted stabbing attacks in the West Bank.
Reports of terror again gripping the nation. An Israeli policeman attacked in an attempted stabbing attack in East Jerusalem's Jabal Mukaber neighborhood. The Palestinian assailant, armed with a knife and tear gas, screaming Allahu Akbar, or God is great, as he approached security forces Monday evening. Police responding by opening fire and wounding the suspect, who was later taken to hospital. This, the second attack in one day. Hours earlier, reports of an attempted stabbing in the West Bank. A group of soldiers shooting and wounding the 2 Palestinian suspects. Locals insisting, though, that the shootings were unprovoked. Speaking with the Times of Israel, a resident of a nearby Palestinian village, saying that the 2 suspects are brothers who were tending to their farm when a group of settlers and soldiers allegedly ordered them to leave. It's at this point that the IDF reportedly shot and wounded the 2.
Well, briefly now, accused pedophile Malka Leifer has today been deemed mentally fit to stand trial. The decision ruled in Jerusalem court today renews a stalled extradition process to Australia. Now, Leifer fled to Israel in 2008 after being indicted in Australia on 74 counts of rape and sexual assault against 3 sisters who were students at a Jewish school in the city of Melbourne, where she served as headmistress. She was found by Israeli police in 2014 and has since claimed she is mentally unfit to stand trial. Now, Israeli woman Michal Seller should have turned 33 years old last week. Instead, today, the man that was her husband before her death is on trial for her murder, today pleading not guilty in court. Michal was brutally murdered in her own home in the presence of her baby daughter in October 2019. Jerusalem prosecutors last November charging her husband Eliran Malul with aggravated murder. He's accused of stabbing Michal 11 times in her upper body. Michal's sister Lily Ben Ami has founded the Michal Sela Forum in her honour, this past week presenting an award to the winner of a hackathon launched to ensure that Michal's death would not be in vain. Among the big names like Google, Wix and Waze sponsoring the event was Facebook, who told us earlier why they wanted to get behind it.
As soon as Facebook heard about the Safe at Home hackathon sponsored by the Michal Sela Forum, we jumped on board to help in whatever way that we could. We were inspired by Lily Ben Ami's passion and vision to use technology to find solutions to prevent domestic violence. At Facebook, we also believed that without support for the winning ideas, they would have little chance to become successful. And that is why we were honored to be able to contribute 33,000 shekel for the first prize in honor of what should have been Michal Sela's 33rd birthday. We hope that this will help the idea to become successful and to save lives.
And Lily Ben Ami joins me now with more. Lily, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. First of all, just talk me through the idea behind this hackathon.
My sister, Michal Sela, was murdered 7 months ago by her husband in front of her infant baby daughter. Since then, we didn't know nothing. She didn't know her life is in danger. And since then until today, I was looking for answers. How could she know? How could we stop this? And Israel is the startup nation. Israel knows how to stop a terrorist before he kills. In Israel, you have systems like Mobileye that alerts before there is an accident. So I said, why not to do it with domestic violence? And this is how I came up with the idea to establish Michal Sela Forum. It's an NGO. And the first project of Michal Sela Forum is the hackathon, Michal Sela Hackathon, where we held it last week on Michal's birthday. She was supposed to be 33 on May 18th. And this is the day where we opened the hackathon. 1,800 engineers, software engineers, signed up to this hackathon. There was more than 130 ideas, technologic ideas that can save lives. We had Facebook with us, Microsoft, Mobileye, Intel, Amdocs, the Ministry of Interior Affairs, the Ministry of Healthcare. We have the president with us when we gave the prizes in his house, in the president's house, Ruby Rivlin. And I'm happy to tell you that today we have a few initiatives that the winners, engineers winners are working on them. And we are about to launch them and save life. It can happen.
It's such an important initiative, and so it's no surprise that there were such big names behind it. So tell us about the idea that won.
It's an app that it looks like a news app or recipes app where it listens, and if the woman says a code word, like, I don't know, please leave me, maybe help. And so the app can call by itself without touch to a security person that the women choose, or there is another word to call the police, and it can call help. It can record sound. It can take a picture of what happens and call for help. And it's all, it doesn't leave traces on your phone.
Wow, incredible. You can see why it won. And of course, not how you expected to mark your sister's birthday, no doubt, but an incredibly meaningful way to do it, no less. But first of all, I want to hear just about the news today, you know, her husband pleading not guilty in court, what your reaction is.
Today there was the trial of the murderer of my sister, the father of her baby. And it's hard for me to tell you, to share this with you, but every time a day like this is like opening a wound for my family. It's very hard for us to know that until today he never gave a version. It's 7 months since she was brutally murdered. He killed her with a knife. And until today, he is not willing to say what happened that night, what the baby saw. He was 17 hours with my sister's body, with the baby there. And until this moment, we don't know what happened because he won't say nothing.
You know, heartbreaking really isn't the word. And of course, you know, there really is no justice for that. But thank you so much for sharing that story and for the work that you're doing to try and make some sort of a difference to such a disgusting issue that plagues our planet.
If
Lily,
I can
thank
say
you.
something,
Sure.
First of all, this is my sister, Michal, this with the curls.
Beautiful.
No, sorry, this one. This
She's
is Michal.
beautiful.
She was 32. Here's another picture of me and her in her wedding.
Wow.
And I want to say she didn't know her life is in danger. And I want to call every woman that maybe is watching, if your husband is obsessive with jealousy, even there is no physical violence, but he looks in your phone, he asks you, where do you go every minute of the day? So you might be in danger, and don't try to say goodbye by yourself. He's like an addict to you, to control you. And if you say goodbye, he might kill. It's like a junkie that you take his drugs. So you need to call for help, and with a professional, do the breakup step by step. So call 118 to the welfare service, and you will get help. Don't do it by yourself, and tell people, tell a family member, tell your friend. Don't be alone with this.
Well, Lily, it's comforting to know that there are people like you doing the work to make sure that women can be safe. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
And for more on that same painful topic, joining us in studio is psychologist Dr. Camilla Forkosh-Levan. Camilla, great to have you with us. A rattling interview there, and we heard Lily, of course, talk about warning signs. What can you add to that? How can someone understand that they're perhaps in a dangerous relationship?
So it's very important to realize that sometimes what you see is what actually is happening. So there's a tendency to kind of believe in the good of the person, especially the one that we love, yes, to think like, okay, maybe the situation can change, maybe this is not a big deal, okay, so I don't feel very comfortable going out or doing something because I know that he's going to get upset. But maybe that's okay, maybe that happens to everybody. So he hits me sometimes, but maybe it's not a big, like, where does it stop?
Right. And so once you perhaps identify those things, what next? How do you get out of a relationship like that then?
So it's very important to understand that it's very difficult for any person, especially if you're already in a relationship for a really long time, it's very difficult to get out because it's insidious, yes? And there's always this hope that maybe, you know, he's not really a bad person and maybe he's going to change. So it's very important to understand that you will need therapy. You do need to turn to somebody.
Some people also perhaps might feel that they need that partner. Without that partner, I might not be able to have somewhere to live, or I have children with this partner. So what advice do you have for them?
That's part of the catch, is that either emotionally or financially or for some kind of security safety, there is this huge belief that I cannot survive without this person, except it's not true. You can survive without this person. Maybe the process of getting out and rebuilding yourself will not be necessarily easy, but there are a lot of agencies, including the social services, that do, and WITSO and Naamat, for example, some of the women organization, yes, that are there to help you, that the assistance is there.
Sure, and it's important, even through this hackathon, that there are ways that people can feel that they can reach out perhaps without their partner tracking them if they are trying to reach out for support. So there are those tools there for them. But on the complete other side, what if somebody themselves feels like they are an aggressive person and they're concerned that they might not be able to control that and might turn it towards their partner? What do you say to them?
So if they already feel that way, like they realize, we're really ahead. Because the problem is that most do not realize. The pattern is such that they feel that somehow their anger is well deserved, yes? That it's the other person that motivated that anger. You know, she's the one that didn't make me the cup of coffee. She's the one that didn't serve me dinner. She's never on time. The house is always dirty. Look how she's talking to me. Like somehow they feel that it's someone else. Like I don't want to be the one that's being taken advantage of, so I'm going to beat somebody up. You need to understand that when you have this splash of heat inside and it's like this immediacy of doing something, and whoever feels it knows what I'm talking about, do check it out, because just in case if you're not sure, go to somebody and check your reality, check it out.
And there's certainly no shame in reaching out for help. In fact, it's actually the stronger thing to do. There's no weakness, of course, in reaching out. Thank you so much for that insight, Camilla. Thank you. Well, in other news, sports turned political with an athletic trade sparking outcry from Palestinian fans. Arab-Israeli soccer star Abdallah Jabbar has been fired from the Palestinian national team after he signed with a club from the Israeli National League for next season. Now, the balancing act is difficult for the 27-year-old who comes from the Israeli city of Taibe. He says that by many Palestinian supporters he's too Israeli, while in Israel he's seen by many as not Israeli enough. Jabbar has been playing for the Palestinian team for over half a decade. He's won awards and represented the team internationally in over 50 games, including in the World Cup. Still, with the news of his return to the Israeli National League, he says he's received streams of hate messages on social media. What a shame. All right, well, have you ever tried to buy clothes online but aren't sure how the sizes will fit your body, or perhaps the models that the retailer uses don't quite reflect how you look? Well, an Israeli tech company has created a solution that British fashion retailer ASOS has started using. Brands like Adidas and Bloomingdale's are reportedly next to follow suit. It's an augmented program developed by Israel's Zekit to show customers how each item looks on 16 models, not avatars of different shapes, ages and ethnicities. Now, when the coronavirus restrictions prevented models from coming into the ASOS studios, well, that's when the company contacted the Israeli AR company, saying it became a useful solution not only for customers, but also protecting their models and staff. Now, despite attempts by the fashion world to show women of all sizes, the battle to change the outdated ideal of beauty is still going. When Israeli plus-size model Merav Tita Ashush took part in a plus-size swimwear campaign, she was shocked to find out that Instagram censored all of her images because of complaints by users of the app. Now, Merav is one of the most prominent models and positive body image activists in Israel, and she joins me now. Merav, a pleasure to have you with us. Start us off. How did you realise that Instagram had censored you, and what was your reaction?
I was shocked and upset, and I was very angry, and I didn't know what to do. In this moment, I understand something. I understand that Instagram choose to delete my pictures because they afraid or they don't like people that look like me. Because, you know, all this page is girls in bikini. So if Instagram delete my picture, that it's the same bikini that the other models have. So it means that they don't want to see people like me.
So then what is, the reason that you find it so important to then be so outspoken about positive body image?
Actually, I just feel that is my mission, you know. This is my purpose to speak for girls that they can't do it, and that's it. I just feel very, very inside me to help and speak for all these little girls that feeling so outsiders because they are fat or they have glasses or I don't know, or they are look different, you know.
Sure. And women and people come in all shapes and sizes, and everybody is beautiful just the way they come. So I certainly appreciate your voice, Merav, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, now let's take a look at the weather. A very comfortable forecast for tonight with a low of 63 degrees Fahrenheit in Tel Aviv. That's 17 degrees Celsius. And a beautiful day ahead tomorrow. Sunny skies with a few clouds and a top of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 27 degrees Celsius. And now, before we go, let's take a look at what's going viral in Israel.
Oh, thanks. Cappuccino? Yes, please. Thank you.
Well, we love to make a joke here at ILTV when we say what's going viral in Israel. We now say besides the coronavirus. So we can see here, it seems that this is, as we see bars and restaurants set to open tomorrow, interesting ways that people are going about socially distancing. Let's hope we don't see that tomorrow. All right, that is it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.53 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Tracy Alexander, and thank you so much for watching.